12 seconds. That's how long it took for the police to complete their investigation. This is what 12 seconds looks like. Let's begin the stopwatch. Investigation complete under 12 seconds. An officer in a green sheriff's uniform opens the door and walks inside briskly. We'll start a stopwatch at 00. A wide view of room. There's a body on one side of the room and a digital wall clock showing a random time like 2:45 p.m. The officer looks left, then right, and says, "Time of death, 2:45. He didn't even go near the body. The officer glances at the body from afar and says, "Single GSW, investigation complete." The stopwatch now reads 00.12, scene 4. The officer walks out confidently, shrugs shoulders, and is dusting off his hands and saying, "It is what it is. Okay, tell the roommates." Some cases deserve more than 12 seconds.
See, that is what a 12-second case looks like. So today we are going to be talking about a very important case that happened in Oskaloosa County, Florida. Yes, you guys, Oskaloosa County, Florida. Why this case is so important is because, well, this is a case that happened December 23rd, 2024. So it hasn't even been a year yet, you guys, not even a year. So I want to talk about what happened to Adam. I want to talk about what happened to Adam because there are so many questions regarding Adam's passing. And the reason is because it only took the detective who had only been on this case and actually with Okaloosa County for 6 months. 6 months. He walked into the house, this huge house, 4-bedroom house, where Adam lived, that had 2 roommates living there. And he decided within 12 seconds that this was a self-inflicted wound. Now, it seems pretty open and shut, right? Because this was what it said, single gunshot. And the guy Adam was laying on the floor. And the cops walk in and they say, "It is what it is." And they tell the roommates, "Yep, that's what happened." And they leave. Well, wait until you hear the entire story. All the details that were left out. And then you guys decide what you think was actually left out of Adam's story, because there is so much more. So let's dig in to December 23rd, 2024, when Adam Leisher was found. Not when Adam Leisher actually passed away. Let's talk about Adam. So Adam was a very successful 33-year-old young man who was very well in shape. He took care of his body. He ensured everything that went into his body was good for him. He worked out. He did positive affirmations. He encouraged others. He made sure he encouraged himself every day. He went to college. He had friends. He had a good job. He was fun. He made fun videos. He encouraged others, like I said, and everyone was a better person for being around him. And Adam had a successful career. He was all about making that money. He made videos about making that money. He sold cars. So he sold Toyotas. He lived in near Fort Walton Beach, Florida. If anybody knows anything about Fort Walton Beach, Florida, it is a beautiful area. He had two roommates living in a very nice house. I will share with you this house. It was really nice. This house is up for sale right now. And really great area. He lived near his mom. So it's not like he was, living in a like having a shanty lifestyle or anything like that. He actually was doing pretty dang well for himself. He was doing well. He lived near his mom because he wanted to be close to his mom. He had some stuff going on. Okay, so he was doing well. I won't say he was best friends with his roommates. The roommates were kind of chosen for him, from what I understand. It wasn't a situation where I don't believe he knew these guys before they became roommates. He just lived with these guys, but they did become friends. It wasn't like they didn't like each other. They did become friends. So he actually, they all lived in the same house together. The other two guys were military. So they were from, I believe one of them was from Tennessee. The other one was from a Florida area. So, they knew each other's comings and goings. But, Adam had other friends. He was very close to the people that he worked with. So, life was life. But things did, for whatever reason, the last 10 days of Adam's life, he kind of had some reasonings, some issues that are unaccounted for. For whatever reason, he didn't want to be hanging out at the house. He didn't want to go home. But he wasn't depressed. He wasn't sad. He was still making videos. He was still doing his thing. He was but for some reason, and we're not sure why, but Adam had not been to work. He hadn't gone to work in 10 days, and his roommates, um, just for whatever reason, not really sure why, but nobody had been contacting anyone and saying, "Yo, where's Adam?" And the other odd thing is there was a funky smell in the house. Just this really weird smell, okay? And uh nobody thought that they should say something about this really weird smell. So, yeah, nobody thought they should say anything, but the roommates went on about their beeswax. And then all of a sudden, the guys decided, hey, maybe we should say something. Maybe we should, you know, call 911. Now, mind you, it's been since December 13th since anybody has seen Adam. But by December 23rd, they decide after they've noticed this strange smell, which they claim is maybe a rotten refrigerator smell or maybe even feces. Now, they know Adam. They know that he is a very meticulous, clean person. He shines his shoes. He gets his hair done at a hairstylist every 2 weeks without fail. That he is a very, very clean eating. He works out. Like, feces, really? But not only do they wait and they think that this smell is coming from, now let's look at this really nice house that they live in. Okay. They live in this very nice house, this brick house. Okay. Look at these. Look at the inside of this house. Nice floors, open floor plan, nice kitchen, white cabinets, 2-car garage. I mean, white granite countertops. You're telling me that they're just going to let a smell like the smell of death and think it's a stinky refrigerator and let that sit there for several days? Now, mind you, also, these are military guys, and one of them's from Tennessee and another from Florida, and they're hunters. They hunt. So they should know what that smells like. I mean, these are nice bedrooms. This is what the house looks like. These are tray ceilings. I mean, it's a very nice house. Look at this bathroom. Nice bathrooms, walk-in showers. So they waited until December 23rd to call the police. Okaloosa County police come walking in. I'm not sure which room belonged to Adam, but they go into the room and they see Adam, and it looks like there's 3 bathrooms. Maybe there's only 2. But it's a nice house. Nice backyard, decent anyway. But these roommates, not only did they wait 3 days when they realized, because I mean, now mind you, he's been not at work since the 13th, but the roommates decide to call on the 23rd. And then when they call, they say, oh, we smelled something, but they cooked burgers. They, hung out. They just did the strangest things. The cops get there. Adam's room is locked. The detective decides to use a butter knife to get into Adam's room. He goes into the room. He finds Adam laid down, and he doesn't find just one, but two rounds. Now, if this was a self-inflicted wound, deletion, why would there be two? Isn't that strange? Why would there be two wounds or two uh holes? So one was in a mini fridge that was in Adam's room. The other one was in Adam. The one that was in the mini fridge, one of the roommates decided that it would be, I don't know if he thought it would be funny or if he thought it would be funny. I'm not really sure what he thought it would be, but he thought it would be a great idea to stick his finger in the refrigerator where that hole was, where the other bullet hole went. Why would you do that? And the other crazy part is that the detective was there and he thought it was kind of ha ha funny too. So you have a 12-second, and I'm not even going to say it was an investigation because this was not an investigation. This was a walk in, walk out of like, hey, yeah, there's somebody laying on the floor. Yep, that's what it is. I mean, it's not even an investigation. It's a, we don't feel like doing our job, so we're just going to call it that and call it a day. And unfortunately for Adam's poor mother, and she is called and told that her son, who is a positive person, a person who has his the world at his fingertips, who is doing things every day to ensure that his life and other people's lives are on a positive track. She's told that her son has taken his own life. And she gets called in and says, "Here you go. Here's some stuff. Oh, you can't have that. You can't look at it. You just peek at it and you're done." And they treated her like she was nothing. And then they told her all of his stuff was stolen. All his stuff is gone. He had no stuff in there. There's no stuff. Like, where's his stuff? Did he have a phone? Nope, no phone. Was there a laptop? Nope, no laptop. Where's his car keys? No car keys. His car was there though. Really weird. Oh, and the other kicker is that $500 had been taken out of his account after after he passed away. His watches were gone, his nice shoes were gone because he had impeccable wardrobe. Very nice shoes because Adam dressed very well. Like I said, he got his hair cut every 2 weeks. He was dressed well. He always went to work dressed well. He was very well kept. But all of the things that he had that were in his room were gone. and his roommates disappeared. They did not go to his funeral. They did not speak to his mother. They did not talk to her when she was finally able to go get his stuff on December 26th. Now, if something is ruled a self-deletion within 12 seconds and the case is basically closed, why isn't his mother allowed to go in? Why isn't his mother allowed to go and get her son's stuff? Why are the roommates allowed to go be in the house and do whatever they want? Like, I don't know, stick their finger in a mini fridge hole. Why are Adam's things gone? Why isn't his mother allowed to do anything? And why was a police officer allowed to call a time of death and call the case? Why was the detective allowed to say the manner of death and not a coroner? Where was the coroner? And what about the medical examiner? Where was the medical examiner in all of this? Why hasn't the medical examiner, who, by the way, is suing Adam's mother? After all is said and done, when this mother, all she wants is justice, is to have her son's case looked at longer than 12 seconds. That's all she wants. And what? What are they doing? They're suing her. Because she is telling, she's repeating, basically repeating news articles about the Oskaloosa County Medical Examiner's Office. She didn't make it up. She didn't say it. She's not saying anything that's not true. She's literally just saying, oh, hey, by the way, they kind of leave medical gloves in people's bodies, and they also are known to mark things as a self-inflicted wound when really it's not, or they also call it overdoses when they're really not, but she's only reporting what the news reported, and they're suing her. Why? Because she wants justice for her son. And they know, you know what? The guilty are always the first ones to throw a fit. But here are my questions. Here are my questions about Adam's death. This is my issue, is how is it that Adam was missing from work for 10 days? I have a lot of questions about this. I think it's very brave, first of all, that Adam's mom is speaking out. It's very hard. I cannot imagine. She's so I can't imagine. I know when I just want to say I thank her so much for reaching out to me. This has been so difficult for her. She's fighting all alone. And then she's being taken, being sued by the Oskaloosa County Medical Examiner's Office. She was being treated like garbage by the detective and the police department. And, she's lost her son. And then she reaches out to crime people, like myself, She's begging for help. She's really needing anyone who will listen to get her son's story out there. And this is just really, really difficult for her because she is fighting and she is on this quest to get justice for her son. And then, she has people like me, who have tons and tons of questions. You know, uh, where was he for 10 days? Why wasn't he at work for 10 days? What were the roommates doing? Uh, they just up and moved. They didn't even go to her son's funeral. They didn't even speak to her. They blocked her on social media. Uh, you know, whose weapon was used? They are known to have weapons, the roommates. They were in the military. Who took his belongings? He had an Apple iPhone. His iPhone was taken. Where is the Find My iPhone? Were these items sold at a pawn shop? I know one of the roommates got married. Were these items sold so that he could use the money for his wedding? He went on a very fancy honeymoon. I'm just very curious. I have a lot of questions. How was Adam's body positioned? It seemed like a staged crime scene. So I really want to know, what did this room look like? Who did these guys know? One of them was from Florida, the other from Tennessee. It just seems to me very odd that, we are talking about, Sheriff Pusser in Tennessee, who, they're supposedly solving this case that he supposedly actually was the one who took his wife's life and staged his own shooting. Why he would shoot himself in the face and cause himself to have 16 surgeries, I have no idea. And why is that relevant at this point in time when we have, forensics and DNA and things like that, where we could actually solve Adam's, murder, and why 12 seconds seemed to have been enough, and how many people were in and out of the house. How many people went in and out of Adam's bedroom? What did they touch? What happened? Who went in there? Who touched Adam's body? Did they test Adam's hands for GSR? Obviously not. It was solved in 12 seconds. I'm just curious, what angle was this? What did the medical examiner's notes look like? Where in the room was the refrigerator? Where was Adam's body as opposed to the refrigerator? I mean, I have a lot of questions as opposed to like how all of this happened, and how long was he in the room? How far was the decomposition? How far along was it? That would tell how long he'd been in the room, and how long the roommates, where were they? Where were they these entire, 10 days that Adam hadn't been at work? That would give more time frame of a time of death. I just have a lot of questions and trying to understand, is there ATM footage of when the $500 was taken out of Adam's account? What date was the $500 taken out of Adam's account? Are there any pictures anywhere? Were the watches pawned? Uh, I mean, there's just so many questions that I have. Have the social media been scrubbed at all? Which I'm obviously not. This case was done in 12 seconds. So I'm just curious to see, like, there's got to be a digital footprint of these watches, the shoes, the $500, the phone, the laptop. His work laptop was taken. The company must have a tracking of the IP address, the work laptop. There are a lot of ways to find this information. This is not over. This is not over. So this can be figured out. We just need the right people to help figure this out. We need the right questions, and we need the right people to dig. So I know that Adam's mom wants to have his body autopsied again. I'm surprised that it wasn't autopsied before by a separate autopsy at medical examiner, by a separate medical examiner, instead of just the Oskaloosa County, Escambia County. It looks like those separate. I know Oskaloosa County was the police department. It looks like Escambia County was the medical examiner. I know I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. I'm learning about this case in bits and pieces. I'm trying to get everything correct, but I just want to say how brave his mom is. Super, super brave for telling the story and getting this out there. She's been fighting this all on her own for months. This is very fresh, very new. This just happened, and it happened at Christmas time. And I just can't imagine. I just really cannot imagine what this must be like for her. This was her one and only son, and she's fighting this every single day on her TikTok. I'll post her TikTok in my description. There's also Justice for Adam Leisher Facebook page. We'll put that as well. Please, 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 everyone, check out Justice for Adam. Go to her TikTok page. Please hear the story. I'm going to keep on researching and keep on digging and try to find as much information as I can about Adam. And we are going to keep trying to find out all that we can and get as much information as possible about Adam. And hopefully, when I haven't scared her off anymore, I will get Adam's mom to talk and maybe share her side. But for now, we are watching videos and I'm communicating with her on TikTok and email. But I'm hoping that we can get more details. But I am going to research this case until I find out as much as I possibly can. And I am digging into these roommates. So, not to fear, we are going to find out what happened to Adam Leisher. I will see you guys in the next video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And you guys also don't forget to go to Bernie's Best and get your 20% off so you can get your charming chompers and your omegas so that your doggies can have the best brains possible, and your hip supplements so they can walk around and jump on their sofas, your sofas. Okay, I will see you in the next video. And please, please, please get on to Justice for Adam Leisher on Facebook and join in on the story and get Justice for Adam with me so we can find out more and figure out what in the world we can do to get more to this story, because 12 seconds, you guys, is not long enough to solve an investigation or the lack thereof. I'll see you guys in the next video.